Happy Wednesday. Good evening, family. Shalom to all of you. Uh, Glory and honor to our Heavenly Father, the creator of heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is. Glory and honor to Messiah Yahushua. Greetings to the 12 tribes. Greetings to the 144,000. And greetings to the Gentiles that have received the faith of the Messiah. Greetings to the chat. Greetings to all of you, and may you be in good health and the Most High bless you. Today is Wednesday, and as normal, we're going to look at current events. Let's take a look at the happenings in our economy. What I'm going to be talking about today is, as the title of the video says, this is the Babylonian economy that we're in. And what do I mean by the Babylonian economy? In the Babylonian economy, and it goes back actually, it goes back thousands of years, but it was really illustrated strongly during the period called the Dark Ages or the medieval times. At that time, the Catholic Church, the religious Christianity dominated the economy, the religious power, and the government. And what you saw at that time was two classes of people, rich and poor. You had landowners who were landlords who rented land and property to poor people who were the renters. That lasted over 1,000 years. And it started to change as the Europeans started leaving Europe and coming to other lands, like what's now Australia, or what's now the United States, or what's now South Africa. So they would leave their lands where they were oppressed economically and go to a land where they could have an opportunity to build wealth, okay, basically to create their own national empire, which is what the United States is. So that type of economy, though, continued. And in the United States particularly, after the New Deal in 1933, when Franklin D. Roosevelt created or signed into law the New Deal, what part of that what happened was the soldiers coming out of World War I and then World War II especially would receive benefits. That is, the children of your fat soldiers would receive benefits. One of those benefits was the ability to buy a home with the backing of the government. Okay, the ability to buy a home with very little of your own money. You just needed 3% of your own money, and you could buy a home. And at that time, the houses were under $10,000. So you're talking about an $8,000 house. And in order to buy that house, you might need $2,400 or less, to $2,000 or less to buy that house. So that was given to the children of your fat. And for a multitude of decades, they were able, through that means and their own, of course, wealth that they already built up, to buy their own homes. So that today, as I'm speaking to you, the Hebrew or Black families in the United States, of their population, 40% or 42% of their population are homeowners. That is, of Black families in the United States of America, 42% are homeowners. Of white families, non-Hispanic white families, 73% of them are homeowners. Most of the wealth of the average family in the United States is tied to their house. Okay? And so you can see a huge gap just in the area of home ownership. We're not even talking about the areas of education, the areas of employment. We're just talking about the main area in the United States where wealth is built in families. It's in real estate. It's in your primary residence. And so what you're seeing is not only the Black people are about, I would say they're probably about 10 million, 20 million households. And so only 8 million of those households are homeowners, okay? Versus you probably have a good 70 million Caucasian households, and 70% of them are homeowners, so that the wealth gap is increased. But you see, this is the thing. The Bible shows us, again, let's look at it. And first, let's go to Exodus chapter 1. Exodus chapter 1. And because this phenomenon goes back all the way to when Israel was formed by the Most High. So let's go to Exodus chapter 1, and let's see how the Mizraim, the children of Mizraim, handled our fathers, or managed our fathers. We were in their land. We were strangers in their land. So Exodus chapter 1, I'm going to begin at in Exodus chapter 1, I'm going to begin at verse 9. Actually, let me start at verse 7. Exodus chapter 1, verse 7. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pitcom and Ramesses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. So the Mizraim were grieved because of the children of Israel. Brethren, we should understand something. That has not changed. All of the thousands of years since, we have always grieved the people that observe us, that are not us. They're always scared of us. And now it's at the height of that. Let's keep reading. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they were made them to serve was with rigor. So they afflicted them in labor. Again, never changed. Okay, and it's never going to until the kingdom, which is very shortly. Okay, and the king of Egypt spake unto the Hebrew midwives, of the which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah, and said, When ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared the Most High, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, Why have ye not done this thing, and have saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively, and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Therefore, the Most High dealt well with the midwives, and people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass that because the midwives feared the Most High, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, Every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. Now, that's why they found Moses in the river. His mother made a little basket for him, but she put him in the river because that's where all the male children had to go. And because the Most High had chosen Moses before he was born for the work he was to do, he was delivered from the river. But there were obviously many other children that did not meet Moses' fate and were eaten of the alligators and crocodiles in the river. Okay, that was also repeated in the United States. So when FDR created the New Deal. It created in the United States of America the strongest middle class that ever existed in history. And that middle class was made up of the children of Yafet. But after the civil rights movement, more of us were buying houses. As a matter of fact, the high point of Black home ownership was that there was at one point, it was 49% of our households owned houses. Never was more than 50. Now that has dropped to 42. And it's to the point right now where the children of Yafet that are elite will destroy even their own cousins to make sure that we're destroyed. And this is where we are right now. For example, we were talking about how during the pandemic, actually, there was a run up in home prices so that a lot of us could not buy a home. Only corporations or people with cash could buy houses, and the prices kept going up. And one of the reasons that happened was because the interest rates were shrinking down to when my wife and I bought our house in the second house we bought in 2021, the interest rate was 2.75. We couldn't believe that it was the interest rate. But after that, the rates started rising. So now the interest rates are about 7.5% on average out there now. So that because of the rising interest rates, a lot of people, before they couldn't buy because the prices were too high. But now the prices are dropping and the interest rates are going up. Just today, it was announced that the government is going to eliminate 80,000 jobs from the Veterans Administration. They're planning to eliminate well over 1 million jobs from all the various government agencies. But let me break something down to y'all you may not know. Y'all know what the DMV is in the United States of America? Y'all ever heard of DMV? If you live there, you know what it is. DMV stands for District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. It's the tri-area of DC, Maryland, and Virginia. That's called the DMV. If you're from there, you know what it is. In the Maryland part of the DMV, there is beautiful, or there used to be, not too long ago, beautiful neighborhoods of mostly Hebrews, okay? From PG County down into, going down to Brandywine, going down to Waldorf, Maryland. If you're from that area, you know what I'm talking about. And there was a whole bunch of Black people that own their own houses, beautiful homes. Most of those people were government employees. See, most of those people are government employees, and they've been in the government. The thing about being a government employee for the federal government, if you're a government employee, your advancement is in large part based on your ability to pass written exams about the job you're going for. So it's not based on your color. It's based on your ability to get high scores on written exams. And so Black people were taking advantage of that, right? And moving up. The reason people get government jobs is because of stability. I don't even remember before now when the US government had layoffs. So there's a stability. You don't always get a lot of money, but you're going to have a job. And a lot of the military people would go I have friends that joined the military when they was 18, when we all graduated high school, and they stayed in there for 25 years or 20 years. So they'd be like between 38, saying 43. And then they go from the military into a government job and then work another. I got a friend, he worked another 20 years in the government job, and he's got 2 pensions. He got one from the military and he's got one from the US government. And that's how in that area, Black people created their wealth. But and the wealth is in the houses they own. Okay. So now with the layoffs, a lot of people are getting laid off from these jobs that are not retirement age. In other words, they're too young to get a pension. And they don't make a lot of money. They make steady money, but they don't make a lot of money. And and what happens now, since the 80s, this really started with Reagan. In a capitalist society, and that's what the United States is, a capitalist society. That is society based on capital and assets. In that type of society, and the way the structure of this country is built economically, you're going to have what's called a recession. It's almost like clockwork. You know when it's coming. You're going to have a recession every few years. And what a recession is, it's when the economy shrinks for 6 months in a row. Like it shrinks and it continues shrinking in terms of its productivity, in terms of the value of its work, shrinks. When you get a recession, there's layoffs. Okay, there's layoffs, because what happens in a recession, people stop buying. They stop buying, they stop borrowing, banks stop lending. And so all of the economy slows to a halt and it shrinks. And then when that happens, people lose their jobs. And every time that happens from the 80s till now, you get a bunch of people, usually Hebrews, that were middle class or pushing into the middle class, and then they get snapped back into below middle class or lower middle class. Okay, they start losing. I know that happened to me. You lose your house, you lose your income. Okay, and it's hard. It's very hard to come back. The Most High has blessed me. I have lost 2 houses. I have had bankruptcies, and I still was able to own homes. He has blessed me, and I was able to own the house we had and sell that one to my daughter and son, and then buy my daddy's house. And so that was the blessing. But I am not the norm. Once you start going down bankruptcy and foreclosures, it's very difficult to come back. Okay. And so every time there's a recession, a whole bunch of people that was pushing, got the education, started moving in their job, they get slid back. A lot of them never recover. Some of them go really bad into poverty. And then, of course, it's also depressing. You know, some people start drinking, some people start using drugs, some people start having domestic issues. And you know that a lot of the divorce rate, the majority of divorces are initiated by the woman, and they're initiated over financial struggles. Okay. And so that causes all kind of problem in the family. And so it's a struggle going forward, right? So there was a recession like in 88 or 89. There was a bad one around 2000, 2001, around the time of 9/11. There was a real bad one, as you probably know, most of y'all are old enough to know, 2008. And we're getting one right now. Okay. Only this one is really one of the worst ones, because you got the high interest rate, and you got the devaluation of the real estate. So if you do own a house and you lose your job, you know, if you had value in your house, maybe you could sell it and get some money and move to another country where you could live off your money, right? But now the values of the houses are dropping. The interest rates are too high for people to buy homes. And then there's going to be massive layoffs. Now, these layoffs, the problem with the ones we're getting right now is they're not due to a recession. They're causing the recession. See, that's the difference. Generally, in a capitalistic society, recessions are part of the cycle. You have a cycle where you're going to have a boom, then you're going to go down, you're going to have a bust. But now the bust is being created by the government itself. And so you have a recession coming where people are getting laid off jobs, which is going to cause further people getting laid off jobs in the private sector. And people are not going to be able to buy houses, and people that own houses are not going to be able to hold them. Matter of fact, this guy called, I forgot, I'm not going to say his name, I'm not going to publicize him, but he has a site on YouTube where he follows real estate. He buys real estate and he follows the trends in real estate. And he was saying for a couple of years now that corporations were the biggest buyers of houses. And so they were the buy. That's what was part of what's driving up the price. It just so happens at the time they were buying it up, the interest rates was coming down. I say just so happened because they did that on purpose. The interest rates was coming down so they could, if you had the assets or if you had the panache or you had the credit, you could walk into a bank and get a $300,000 line of credit and go pay cash for a house and get that line of credit at 2%, you know, or buy a couple of houses, putting down payments on them and get a bunch of houses. That's what they were doing in corporations, except they were dealing in billions of dollars. And now those same corporations are dumping them houses. They're dumping them, and the houses are worth less than what the corporations paid for it. They're dumping the houses, and the rents are still high, and people are having trouble when they can't get a house to even rent. So the recession is coming strong. It's getting worse. And then you're going to see it turn around, because what ends up happening is once the recession does its evil work of pushing people back into poverty that was trying to get out, it also makes the wealthy wealthier. The wealthiest 1% of households, that is 1 million households in the United States, own 31% of the whole country's wealth. The top 50% of the households own 98% of the wealth. The bottom 50% of the U.S. households, that's over 50 million households, only got 2% of the wealth. Most Black people are renting. And I'm not trying to knock, just listen, I'm not knocking Black people for renting. You're set up that way. It's a setup. The game is rigged. The game is rigged. Okay? It's a game and it's rigged. Okay? It's set up for us to fail. They make people feel like you're lazy or you're just mismanaging stuff or whatever. But from the time they brought us here in chains, it's been set up for us to fail. The miracle is some of us that are not entertainers make it and get past it and are able to survive. And it takes superhuman effort. Like I said, I came out of school with it was a degree in finance and a degree in, I had a double major, degree in finance and a degree in software systems. I went into finance. Like I said, I went and I had it rough. No firm wanted to hire me, obviously, but I was determined. And I fought my way into a firm, and they were taking bets that I would last less than a year. And I fought my way into that firm, and I stayed in that business for 10 years against all odds. Okay. Lost houses, lost cars, lost everything. Then I started making money in that business, not enough, and I had to do bankruptcy. Then I changed careers, went back into IT, went back to school, got 2 more degrees just to get back on my feet. And that was hard. Not everybody could do that. That was hard. I'd be falling asleep at work trying to study and do papers. It was not easy, y'all. And I'd be foolish to expect that the average person would do that or could. Especially with 4 kids. At the time, I had 3 living with me. So it's not easy, okay? And most of us can't do it. I always said, I give the Most High glory, because if he didn't carry me through, I don't know. My wife and I wouldn't be together, because that's how it was. It was tough at that time, okay? It was rough. So you are set up to fail. You are set up to fail. The only way we are going to survive in this Babylon is, and that was my secret, trusting the Most High. I was praying all the time. And I was getting spanked, and I was praying, and every time I would try to find my own way to do it, he would spank me. Said no. Because I was like, man, this is hard, man. Let me see if I can get a shortcut out. No. He would spank me. But he blessed me at the end. He took care of me. And I'm not rich, but I'm definitely in a much better position than a lot of my Hebrew brethren because of how he took care of me. And brethren, I'm telling you, That's the only way we can make it. It ain't how smart we are. Listen, a lot of the inventions that we use every day were invented by Hebrews. They just didn't get the credit for it. That's the truth about it. A lot of inventions that we use every day were invented by Hebrews, but some Caucasian man discovered it. So it ain't like we ain't smart. Okay? We are. We got a lot of intelligence, a lot of creativity. The Most High has blessed us. The only reason we're where we are down in society, as we know, is because the prophecies of the Bible said we worshiped other gods when we was in the land. But now when we return to the Most High, I'm definitely not telling you he's going to make you rich, because he's not going to. But he will get you through. He will get you through, and he will, even more important than that, he will guide you in the way you should go. And that's what he promises. He will lead you and guide you. Psalm 32. Psalm 32. Because, brethren, man, shoot, man, it ain't no joke out here. Listen, in Psalm 32, verse 8. Psalm 32, verse 8. I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye. But be ye not as the horse or as the mule, which have no understanding, whose mouth must be held in with bit and bridle, lest they come near to thee. Many sorrows shall be to the wicked, but he that trusteth in Yahweh, mercy shall compass him about. Be glad in Yahweh, and rejoice, ye righteous. Shout for joy, all ye that are upright in heart. Yes, brethren. That's the only way through. Where many of us are going to end up leaving the United States of America. But you want to make sure that you are being guided in your leaving by the Heavenly Father. Don't just decide I want to go to Africa, or I decide I want to go to Asia. No. Don't let man make your decisions, including yourself. Ask your Heavenly Father, what should I do? Where should I go? What is your guidance? What is your instruction? What is your counsel? And he will show you. Wait for him, and he will show you. He will definitely show you. If you wait for him, he will show you. Okay. But make sure. That's right. Trust in your heart. Thank you, Sister Castro. Trust in your heart with all thine heart. Lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct thy path. So at the point where we at right now, the cousins of the children of Yafet that are the 1%, I'm not talking about the entertainers. Entertainers are being controlled by the people with the real wealth. No, the people with the real wealth are even willing to destroy their own cousins to get us. And their cousins don't realize it. They're poor. They're struggling. They're hurting. They're getting laid off. And matter of fact, you probably seen news reports of some of the people that voted for the current president not realizing some of the things that he said he's going to do was going to affect them, and how upset they are now when it's them getting the pink slip. And how they never thought it would be them that he targets. Well, you see, they're in the crosshairs because they really want to hurt us. Okay, they really want to hurt us. Remember, the dragon is wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed that keep the commandments of Yah and the testimony of the Messiah. So, brethren, they want us. But what none of them realize yet is within a few short years, 7 years, matter of fact, 7 years and 7 months, this whole thing is going to be destroyed. All of them. What you saw, for example, the other day when the president had his cabinet meeting, and it's interesting. The brother came from the Ukraine, and people were making a big deal because he didn't wear a suit. But if you recall, Elon Musk was standing in the cabinet meeting with a baseball hat and a T-shirt on. Ain't nobody said nothing. See, this goes to show how backwards, confused, and hypocritical they are. He's standing in a meeting with the cabinet of the president of the United States with a baseball hat and a t-shirt on. But ain't nobody say nothing about that. But this is the world we live in. But what my point is, look at that cabinet meeting. Those are the people that are going to be tossed into the lake of fire in just a few short years, never to be heard from again. That's what you're seeing. Okay, that's what you're seeing. Those are the ones. That's the false prophet right there. See, you got the beast that's behind the scenes, and those are the false prophet. That's what you see. And they think, this is what they think now. I was telling my wife, she said, they really believe that they're going to get away. Look, Hitler is a great example of what you're seeing now. He's a microcosm. Let me explain. Because I did a course when I was in college in the 80s on the Holocaust. And I learned a whole lot about it because we had to watch a whole bunch of documentaries and read books and all of that. The Third Reich is what they called Germany at that time, right? The Third Reich. You ever think about why they called it the Third Reich? See, the word Reich in German means reign, the third reign, because they considered themselves as reigning in Europe, being Germanic tribes, and they had two reigns as far as they're concerned. And this would be the third reign. That's why they called it the Third Reich. And they believed that they were the master race, the Aryan race, right? And that they believed that the Third Reich would last 1,000 years. That was the propaganda they put out. They were the master race, and that the Third Reich would last 1,000 years. Now, Hitler and all of them cats that was with him, they knew they weren't going to live 1,000 years, but they thought they would set a society in motion that was dominated by the Aryan people that would last 1,000 years, and therefore they would be heroes forever. Let me explain something to you. That's exactly what they think in America right now. That's exactly what the 1% thinks. That they're going to set in motion a reign that's going to last forever. That's what they think. And the thing is, within a few short years, they're going to all be shocked. That's why we read. Remember, look here, Revelation chapter 18. Remember, we just read this a couple of days ago. Revelation chapter 18. Look at this. Revelation 18. I'm going to read Revelation 18. I'm going to start at verse 4 in Revelation 18 and go down to verse 10. Actually, verse 4 to 11. Watch this. Revelation 18, verse 4 to 11. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart," this is what they think, "I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Most High, Yahweh, who judges her. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth," your Elon Musk, "shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore." That's what's coming. That's what's coming very shortly, in the next 7 years and 7 months. And they don't even realize it. But we know it. And that's why our safest thing is to put our whole trust in the Heavenly Father that's going to bring these things to pass. He says, come out of her, my people. What it means to come out of Babylon, it means to cease worshiping man-made religion. You see, as long as you need a currency as a medium of exchange, as long as you have to buy a piece of land and pay taxes on the land, as long as you have to get permission from any government to buy anything like land, you are in Babylon. But your free choice is to who or what you're going to worship. And any worship of man-made religion is Babylon. Any 501c3 corporation is Babylon. Any free choice to worship the Creator alone is not Babylon, but the Creator. And so the first step is to put your trust in the Heavenly Father. And, of course, His Word. Read His Word. Pray over His Word. Pray to Him for His Spirit. And let Him guide your steps. He's the only way. Each of us here are individuals. Even though we're family in the faith of righteousness, we're individuals. And the Father has an individual plan to lead you out of wherever He has you to wherever He's bringing you. He got a plan. Okay? In order for you to find out that plan, you got to follow the Father. Right? So right now we're being tried. And this is what my wife was saying this the other day, and I agree with her. This recession that's here, that's coming strong, and it's already here. It's going to cause a lot of the people of the children of Yafet to wake up. Because poverty will wake you up. You know, poverty has a way of waking you up. When you're not smug and comfortable in your situation, and you got to think about what's really going on, especially if you put your trust in man and man is failing you, some of them it cause them to wake up. And so praise the Most High. Maybe some of them will come to the truth and be saved as a result of them going through this affliction, you know, because they're going to go through it. It's like I said, right now, for the last, I would say at least 30 years, the children of Yafet that are at the top have been ruining their own cousins, destroying the middle class completely to get to us. And that's it. Because what you're seeing right now is the hollowing out of the middle class. So that all you're going to have is affluent and poor. And something like you might have like lower middle class, which is really poor. Or you might have upper middle class, which isn't rich, but is much better than poor. You might have that. That's the separation that's being done right now. The middle class is being hollowed out. Okay. And you're going to see right now, like I said, 70-something percent, 73% of the children of Japhet own homes. That percentage is going to drop. That percentage is going to drop because it's going to drop because they won't be able to afford the down payment. They won't be able to afford the interest rate. They won't be able to keep it because they lost their job. That percentage is going to drop. Their percentage of home ownership is going to drop below 70. Watch, because that's what's happening right now. They're struggling. See, when I was young, when I was 31, say like that, I worked with a bunch of Caucasians, and a lot of them owned houses. And how they would get it is they would save their money, and their parents would help them. Their parents would help them. And I remember when I first got into financial planning in the 90s, I was struggling. My house was already in foreclosure when I went into the business of working on straight commission. And a lot of the guys I worked with had successful businesses, and a lot of them, their parents would sign for them to get a line of credit, or they would be living at home and not have to pay anything. They always had some sort of help from their parents in order to make. And now a lot of parents want to help their children, but they're not in the position that them people was in 30 years ago. A lot of them went through the 2008 recession, didn't come back, So a lot of them are struggling, and they would love to help their children, but they can't. So now the children are struggling. The parents can't help them. Everybody is in what my wife and I used to call survival mode. They're getting in survival mode right now, where nothing matters but my survival. Whatever has to wait, and whatever I could pay, I pay. See, black people used to survival mode. We've been living survival mode in the United States since we got here. That ain't nothing for us. We've been in survival mode. Okay. When we get, all we had to do is say them 2 words when we knew survival mode. That means food. That means, if you can, electric. If it's cold, heat. And anything else, well, if we can do it, we can. If we can't, we can't. Car note gotta wait. Insurance gotta wait. Whatever. We trying to eat right now. See, that's survival mode. And then if you could pay something, you pay it. If you can't, you can't. It is what it is. All right. We've been there many times, many times, more times than I care to remember. Me and my wife, with my children, survival mode. Okay, that's something we've been in, and Hebrews been in survival mode a long time in the United States of America. But you see, the children of your Yefet are not used to survival mode at all. And so they really at their wits' end when they get into survival mode. And that's happening right now. That's happening right now. Survival mode is happening for them, see, and they're not used to that. That's why, they're saying now, one of the leading causes of death in men over 45 among Caucasian males is suicide. They're not used to. They always expect to be better than their parents. Well, now we're in a generation where a lot of the Caucasian males are not better than their daddies. They're not making more than their daddies. They're not helping their family the way their daddy did. And it's depressing them. They're not used to that. See, they're not used to that. And it's depressing them. See, so brethren, we getting ready. It's happening right now as we're watching. And what's going to happen now? You're going to see every area is being attacked. Interest rates, housing, jobs, the stock market. It's all being attacked right now. Okay. They control all that. That ain't of the Most High. That's them. They do that. They do that on purpose to hollow out the middle class. You're going to see a rebound, and because the upper 1%, they got to make their money. So you're going to see a rebound. But then there'll be less people buying houses, less people having wealth, less people getting stocks, and they're going to have more. That's just how it works, y'all. Okay. And so you're going to see an increase in the poverty class, an increase in the working poor. That's what's going to happen. Okay, an increase in drug use, an increase in alcoholism, because they're not used to what we've been living with for hundreds of years, thousands of years. We've been living like that. Okay, but now it's their turn. Okay, because again, their cousins will dog them to try to get to us. Okay, but the Most High got us. He's already told us. He's going to have us. All we got to do is learn to call on him. Never mind your Baptist church, your Pentecostal church, or SDA church, or Jehovah's Witness. Never mind that. You better call on the Creator himself, and you better look at his word yourself, because then he'll take care of you himself. Okay, man cannot help you in these scenarios. They cannot. Only the Most High can help you. May he do that. I pray that the Most High bless you and keep you, and that he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, and that he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. In the description box, I put an article on the wealth inequality. It's in there if you care to look at it. And it tells you what it's about. I didn't put any home ownership stuff in there, but you could look that up. But trust the Most High. This is the only way out for us. It's always been that way. We're used to it. But if you're not, if you're one of these children of Yefet, listen to the Hebrews. Trust the Hebrew God. He can help you. Sure.